Welcome to the Better with Daffnee and Torri show,
where we break down millennial life and all its chaotic glory.
We're here to navigate the wild world of adulting, no filters, no fluff, just real talk.
Because sometimes being better just means being a little less lost together.
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Better with Daffnee and Torri. And we are excited because we wore makeup today. And actually, I feel like I shouldn't be sitting here with you. You look so good.
Your eyelashes be eyelashing though.
I feel like I actually don't have that much makeup on and you can't tell.
But the mascara looks great. I have a full beat, which is the only way I like to wear makeup, is 2016 contour.
I love it.
Brown on the top, brown on the highlight, brown on the sides of the nose. And then like I look on camera, it looks amazing. And in person, it looks fucking crazy. But it does look great.
Yeah, it does look great. You look beautiful. Red's a good color for you. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I love this. Okay. All right. Hit me with
Let's
an
do
opener.
this.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's do it.
So I think I know-ish the answer to this, but are you a massage person? Do you like to get massages?
See.
Yes.
Every chance I get.
Every
what about
chance
you?
Okay. I love massages, but my question would be do you have a preferred massage style? Or do you just go and you get the regular, like whatever they give you?
No, I feel like sometimes it's out of my control. I feel like I won't speak up. I like ones that heal me, like next week, I'm getting a lymphatic drainage massage.
Have you ever had this before?
I have. And it really doesn't feel that good to me, but it's so healthy. And with all my weird shit, I'm like, this helps me.
Yes.
And then also because I think of working out, I am like, okay, destroy my body. And I'm sweating and crying and it's not actually enjoyable, but it does make me feel better afterwards. Every now and then, usually if it's a gift from Mike, I'll go to a bougie hotel and get a bougie massage. And that's peaceful. Yes. What about you?
Okay. Well, I also like a painful massage. I don't believe in enjoying things. Well, I'm paying a lot of money. If I wanted a weak-handed massage, I would ask my husband to do it, if I want someone to just kind of lightly touch me, and I also think I don't so much like to be touched like that. But last night I go to the same massage place. I like massages enough. I go kind of once a month, usually go in the sauna after, I really enjoy it. It is the same guy that I go to every single time. And he pulled out the most crazy fucking bullshit. So I'm laying face down and he climbs onto the table, Daphne. And he skirt with his knees on the back of my hamstrings and is using his knees to massage my hamstrings. And as it was happening, I was like, I know what I want to talk about on the podcast tomorrow. No, first thought was, I can't wait to tell my sister who hates getting massages because she is this is exactly my worst
nightmare.
He did not ask for consent. He did not. And I like this guy. I have been going to him for a year.
It is weird to me that he didn't preface it or say it if he's never done it before.
Today.
So, okay, wait. So what, did you say anything or did you just let it ride?
Of course not. I was like, this is fine. Totally normal. And I don't dislike the massage style. I do think a little bit of warning, mostly because I was when it first started happening and he mounted onto the table, I was like, is something bad about to happen to me? So, but I was paralyzed. So that's why in the beginning you said, I don't really speak up for myself.
I wish I could have been a fly on that wall. Or just seeing your face.
If my face moved, I would have been like, what the fuck is happening? But it's fine. And then I will say, he was like, can I try a new stretch on you? And the other thing that I do is I like to get massaged totally naked. This isn't a show
me
for
too.
adults, right? But he was like, can I try a new thing for you? And like part of this, I was like, oh, my hips are really tight. I didn't know that meant we were going to get the whole new toolbox of insanity. He's like, I'm going to try this new stretch on you. And he like moves the sheet around. He like picks up my thigh and he like moves it. Okay. So that was a crazy experience, but a little bit. I get massages because it is part of, I think, like an integrated approach to health. And I know that this is something that you also are really interested in. So I thought today we could talk about like integrated health. And do you want to just start with like scale of 1 to 10, how much of a fan of integrated health you are?
Yeah. And before I answer that though, I do feel like a preface is warranted here. My marketing agency, our clients are only integrative and functional medicine people, businesses, clinics, and brands. And so I am not like, you cannot compare me to like your average person in terms of like the things I've been exposed to and that I know and my perspective, because we've talked about values before, but like I genuinely love what I do because I'm passionate about who we're helping and what we're doing. So I do want to preface that before I say that on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at like a 92.
So do you think that you were into it and that's why you marketed, or you marketed and then you became more into it? Or is this like a Mobius strip kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a Mobius strip kind of thing. I think I will say when I started working in this space, I realized that we had really grown up with a lot of these concepts and I didn't know. I thought we were weird. I didn't know that like other people also thought this was a thing and that like it was a lifestyle. You know, I didn't know any of that. So then I think as I started going, I'm like, oh, I have like a community of people here. I'm curious where you fall on this because you've had a lot of interesting experiences lately. If you've listened to our last episode, which if you have not, you should, but I'm curious where you fall on that scale.
I think I am a 7.5 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, I
Like
like
I'm
it.
down to dabble. I certainly believe in like a Western approach, an Eastern approach, like better living through chemistry, you know, like when I have a headache, I'm going to be taking some ibuprofen. We went this week to a holistic doctor and that was crazy. But like for example, I love acupuncture and maybe we can talk about that a little bit more later on. But I'm also a pretty healthy skeptic. And one of the things that I think is interesting that you brought up is how this is kind of like people who are into holistic medicine or into integrated medicine and all of this, it is often like a really significant part of their personality. And I think you actually do a really good job of this, is where you like segment, you're like, yeah, I'm super into this. I have my colloidal silver and my grounding sheet, but that's not like how I sort of like perceive you in the world.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I think there are scales of this where I think like really hippy dippy crunchy, the people who are like, you're going to eat your way out of cancer and all that. And then there's also like the people who are like, take ivermectin and vaccines are bad. Right. So there's a lot of, I think, strong social stigma against having this kind of approach to health and wellness.
Yeah. So I could literally talk about this for 1 week straight, nonstop, no bathroom breaks. Okay. So I think that there's a really important differentiating line here also for like your science-based, research-backed modalities and, you know, health and wellness tricks and tips and whatever you want to call them, because there is in fact quite a lot of science for a lot of things that I think there's this like sliding scale too, where things used to be a lot more crunchy and they've moved over into being a lot more mainstream. And also, however, I am a very big believer, because I am quite crunchy, that like nobody actually knows your body better than you. And so if something makes you feel better and there isn't a massive study on it telling you that you're validated in the fact that it makes you feel better, I think that's okay. And I think that people don't necessarily realize that in true integrative medicine, your mindset and your perspective and your stress and your how loved you feel, all of those things actually physically impact how your body manifests health and wellness and sickness. And that's not made up. That is also very studied. So I think if you are, and I know these people that are like so skeptical, they're so far on the opposite end of things that I am, and they're just, everything is made up and everyone's a quack and this and that. It probably doesn't matter what you do or don't do. The quality of your life and health is probably not going to be as good because you don't have a very positive attitude, period. And that impacts things, right? So I think I dabble in both worlds. I love science. I will say that we're very picky about who we work with. Almost all of our clients are medical doctors, DOs. They have credentials. They've studied, a lot of them practice conventional medicine for a while, realized it wasn't for them, so I think that like we care a lot about science.
Yeah.
And also that I don't love when people are like, this thing worked for me, and everyone attacks. I'm like, that person is probably going to have better outcomes because they're deciding to listen to their body and decide what might feel good or not feel good. And I have so many examples of this, but one really good one, because I won't go into all of them, is when people talk a lot of shit about people who want to be gluten-free, who maybe don't have the celiac gene, and they're like, I know, but I feel better when I don't eat gluten. And I'm like, yes, because listen to my words, name a food that has gluten that's healthy for you. I'll wait. So I think, again, it's never a good thing to operate in this like very strict box. If eating very inflammatory foods makes you feel bad, that's normal. And if cutting them out makes you feel better, that's normal. You don't need a disease or a blood test to tell you that that makes sense. And I think we've lost a lot of sight like on that piece of it. And so I don't anymore look for validation anywhere. I'm like, I'm going to just try what I want to try. I start with science and I feel good. So
I have 100 follow-ups. One of the things that I think is we'll be here for a full week, so just join the live stream, is the idea of people in the gluten-free cycle, which is they get off of gluten and they feel so much better. And that's because they clean up their diet, but then they start to replace it with the gluten-free pretzels, which are full of palm oil and full of all this garbage. And then they get the gluten-free Annie's rabbits, like once you start to like replace the things in your diet rather than eating whole foods, then you start to feel like crap again. And so I do think that's kind of like an interesting dynamic. And like anytime you try something new, like you start drinking 3 gallons of water a day and you're like, I feel amazing. And then like drinking 3 gallons of water is not that sexy or sustainable, And so then you're like, oh, I think this isn't actually serving me. And I feel like it's sometimes the extremes are where you find the like relief, but it's also kind of like hard to maintain as well.
Absolutely.
I think back to college, I was super into clean eating, but it made me insane, right? Like I was like, if it has more than 3 ingredients in it, and like that it can also turn into this kind of like disordered eating as well. But that's because I am insane and I have never shown balance in anything in my entire life.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you make a good point. One actually is that you were insane the whole time. So
oh yeah,
that didn't make you.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Shots fired, but fair.
I love you. I think this is precisely why what I was saying earlier matters, is that like you have to listen to what is actually making you feel good and not good, right? And this is where the mental piece comes into it. Like you cannot spiral and beat yourself up. Like it's never going to end well. It's not sustainable. I'd actually encourage people, if you're, and I will say I'm 37 and I feel like I do have people in my life who at this juncture are like, I want to try harder. I do want to be healthier. And I love that. It makes me so excited. I'm like, yes, this is so fun. And rather than thinking about what am I eating and get rid of this and stop this and do that and exercise, like think about what you can do. And I'm not even talking small steps. You want to go ham, go cold turkey and like fucking just go do it. However, think about what is sustainable. If you say, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week, oh, that's great. I love that. I do. Can you do that in a year? So think about what is actually sustainable. Same with food, same with really anything. Being extreme for a short amount of time isn't actually any better than like being a little bit less healthy for a longer period of time.
It's why a 3-day juice cleanse is not going to cure your stuff,
Your
And
poor
like,
tummy.
I like a juice cleanse. Don't get like, give me some dirt water. Yes, sign me up. I was just talking to my sister, and this is not necessarily specifically like integrated like nutrition and medicine related, but my mom has never been an exerciser. And we were talking about how she's such a pain in the ass. Love her, right? But as she ages, she is going to hate being doted on. But she almost can't carry her groceries and walk around the house right now. What does that look like in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? And so that is actually the thing that motivated her to start strength training.
Good for her.
I just think like it's really cool. And sometimes it's like about finding that why of like, I'm going to start eating better because of my ulcerative colitis. I'm going to start eating better because I don't like being on cholesterol medication because it makes me retain, whatever that kind of thing was. And for her, it was like, I barely like people taking care of me now. I'm not going to want all these people helping me.
I think it is, everyone arrives there at different parts of their life. Like it's not a certain age or even a certain milestone. I will speak from my experience. If you've ever been real sick, or you have felt horrible, or you have had a weird health thing, I'm such a baby. I don't handle pain well. My pain tolerance is about a -2. I don't want to feel those things. And so
I have a cold.
Yes, same. Like, I'm not kidding. I don't handle it well. So I just know that those things are only going to get worse and harder if they happen to me as I get older. And so my motivation genuinely is that like, I don't want migraines. I don't want to can't leave the bathroom. I don't want my bones to hurt. Like, I don't like pain. I don't like discomfort. And that's really it. Everyone's like, it's for your kids. I'm like, yes, it's fine. Like, it's for my kids. They're not going to be little forever. They're going to be very on their own by the time I would be in a wheelchair. So, okay. Right. However, I just don't want to feel shitty. Like, I don't know how else to say that. And maybe that's a little self-centered, but I'm not mad about it. But no one else is going to motivate you except for yourself. So I think whatever it is that makes you feel the oomph to go, I actually do. I think I told you a little bit about this, although I don't remember if it was actually on the podcast, but Mike has just had, I think over the last year, has just had like weird things. And I very much think that it is a systemic, reaction trigger to what could potentially be maybe some autoimmunity, or maybe your hormones change, which changes your gut. I mean, so many things, right? And so things that might not have impacted you 2 years ago might impact you now. And I think it's really starting to like build up for him. And he's like, because I've been saying for a long time, I'm like, 30 days, no alcohol, no gluten, no dairy. I bought a sauna. You have to walk 4 steps, get in the sauna 3 times a week. Like, he's good about exercising because he enjoys it. But I was just like, just try it out and see how you feel. And I have a very strong inclination that a lot of these weird little things are going to start to resolve. And I'm not trying to say like, go stand in a bucket with a lemon on your head, but there is science behind these things. So, and just, I spend an ungodly amount of money on supplements each year. They are sitting right there. I'm not your mommy. Take them every night. He won't, he doesn't. And he did have a moment in the last couple of days where he's like, fine, like, I'm in. Yeah, he's in. He's like, I'm done. He decided he's not going to drink for 30 days. That man has never not.
He's older than we are. He's not good.
He's an elderly
Mike,
man.
if you're listening, take your vitamins.
He is. He's listening. Fine. Yeah, and I'm like, again, he's almost 41. I'm like,
yeah, he's basically dead. Respectfully.
He has life insurance.
Okay, but do you feel like there's any part of this? Because Charlie also is like very resistant to woo kind of things. Do you feel like there's any part of this that is like men don't want to engage in outside things?
I think that men, ironically, because society has told us otherwise, I actually think that men are pretty stubborn. I think that like
Has society told us otherwise?
I think society has told us that we are,
Oh,
and
yeah.
maybe more so than men. And I'm like, if I have a problem, I'm gonna fix it, and if that means changing something drastic, I'm gonna change something drastic. So I actually think that Mike, listen, he doesn't drink every night, but for him to like not drink on the weekends at all, like for
Right.
a month, like that's he's never done it, and so
Yeah.
and realistically, I have celiac, so my kitchen is like 99.9% gluten free. So that's not even. But if he's at a work event or a dinner or a lunch or he goes out, he's eating gluten, right? And
Like Daffnee's not here. I'm gonna get some gluten. I'm gonna
absolutely,
go.
he says it when we go out. He's like, "Give me the gluten," and like the dairy, which again, we love cheese. My kids, it's not. I'm not like crucifying these things, but we do know that these are like very common triggers for different things. So if your skin is acting all wonky, you benefit from trying at least. And I think that he's just been like, it wouldn't be that hard for him. And he just doesn't want to do it. And I don't know how else to say that except for that Mike's not lazy. I think he's stubborn.
Right.
So,
Well, the pain isn't great enough yet. I mean, that's change management, right? If there's not pain in the system, why are you going to do something you
agreed.
don't want to do? And he's not to that threshold.
Exactly.
And I mean, this is kind of like with my mom, right? Where she had to get to this point where she was like, okay, well, I can barely walk around the block. Like, that's not great. And like, but you don't want to get there. And I think it's very hard as human beings to counteract that. I do want to go back to something you mentioned. I want to know, you don't have to put a real dollar figure around it, but like, what is like one of the craziest, like super expensive things that you've ever bought? And I would love to hear like one thing that you were like, oh yeah, worth it. And one thing that you were like, well, maybe not so much.
Man, that's a good one. Straight away, I can answer, and I've talked about it before, but our sauna is.
You've sold me on a sauna. I want it.
I've sold a lot of people, by the way.
I love the sauna.
I should work for Sunlight and Saunas. I will plug them shamelessly here. They are actually one of the first ever like sauna companies, and it's wonderful. I've had it for a year and a half. It looks like the day I bought it. It's amazing. And again, there's a ton of science. You don't want to look it up yourself? Go ask ChatGPT about the benefits.
It feels good.
Oh, it feels so good.
So good.
Yes, it's lovely. I best investment ever. I would say this. I think for most of, again, I have an advantage in that I have direct access to a lot of people who debunk things and who say this is good. So my like risk with trial and error on this is like much smaller than most people. I will say maybe the few things that I've purchased that weren't super expensive by any means, but I was like, this was stupid and I should have absolutely not spent my money on it, was like weird ass like coffee creamers made from like the souls of chicken hearts and weird fucking, I don't know. Okay. Maybe, I don't know. Some Harry Potter spell that was like
mushroom,
like coconut husk, like bovine. I don't know. Okay. Like just weird shit.
Colostrum.
It tasted like garbage and it did, I'm sure, nothing. Okay. So like I've experimented with some of that stuff and it was like it rotted in my pantry and I threw it out. What about you?
So I don't necessarily, well, I do be dabbling. Like, and I have to say, I have been back on Instagram on the weekends. During Charlie's situation, I needed something and then I kind of got hooked back in. And then there was one day where it was 1:30 in the morning. I was on Instagram and I was like, girl, you need to get, okay. So I get exposed to a lot of things on the internet that I'm like, ooh, maybe. And because like, I feel like I follow you and I follow like different folks that I do get kind of like sucked into like odds and ends. The thing that I've spent the most money on that like I was in pain, and this is like the grifty part that I think is like kind of like hard. So when you're in pain, you will do pretty much anything and spend anything and follow any promise to get out of pain. So I had been doing like massage and I've been doing for when I had that torn labrum in my hip. And I was like really trying to not have a surgery. And so I was going to this integrated clinic and they were like, you have to pay 6 months in advance. And I think it was like $8,000 or $10,000 for this like whole thing. But I was in so much pain. And like, you know, they're like, we'll do the on-site x-rays and we'll show you everything that's like wrong with your skeleton. And like, I was like bought in, right? Mm-hmm. And I was going and I was going and I was going and they were giving me pitcher plant injections and like all this kinds of stuff. And it was so expensive. And I never got relief because of course, like I actually had an anatomical problem that like no amount of stretching or injections or like I had bone on bone, like arthritis, essentially. There's things you can do from like to help, but I had to have surgery.
You're not going to address the root cause of what's happening,
right?
Through those things, which is another. We'll come back to that, but go ahead, keep going. Yeah.
So I think that's like something that I still kind of like feel, and that actually sort of is what kicked me off of like a large degree of skepticism. Just like going forward, I like you have also bought a number of funky on like specifically. I'm thinking about these like nighttime hot chocolate made from mushrooms.
Yes, I've had it.
And I'm like, this is nasty. And it was expensive, like $60 or something.
That's what I'm saying. It was like, I didn't spend thousands, but like this like small bag of creamer was definitely $60. And I was like, okay.
And then like you're drinking, you're like, this needs a tea bag.
Like, this needs just tequila. I'm just gonna
yeah. So I think those are my follow-ups.
Wait, so what did you invest in that you felt like was great? Like what is something that you, even if it wasn't super expensive, like what is something that you do right now that you're like, this is lovely? You mentioned massage already. That's a very healthy thing.
So I'm a huge advocate of acupuncture, and I actually had, what sold me on it is same deal. I was in a lot of pain. So I was doing all this stuff.
For the same thing?
Same thing. Had this guy who was a PhD in Chinese medicine, and he did acupuncture on me, and he was like, do you feel bloated at all? And I was like, no. And then he stuck a needle between my toes and my stomach deflated. And I was like, okay, there is something here. And like I've had like sciatica and various things. So I absolutely love acupuncture. I'm going to get Chuck to do it because it like, and it doesn't hurt. Cause I think a lot of people are afraid of the needles, but I love it. I do find it relaxing. I like the kind where they do the e-stim, find a provider, find a reputable provider. And,
I mean, acupuncture has a good reputation. I feel like acupuncture to me is definitely one of those things where 10 years ago it was like super frou-frou and now it's not.
Dry needling though is what I personally have beef with.
I don't do needles, so I'll never do acupuncture in my life. I've never done it. I won't.
You like cupping, right?
I do like cupping. What is dry needling? That sounds familiar, but I don't think I know what that is.
Okay, so dry needling is acupuncture for people without degrees. If you're a dry needling practitioner, I apologize. I'm sure you went to physical therapy school and you did all that good jazz. This is actually also a take that is informed by that guy who had the specialty in Chinese medicine. Also just like a Western white dude as well. I mean, like Western cowboy, not like Western.
Yeah.
And so very funny that he was very into Chinese medicine as well. But so he was like part of this advocacy group in Colorado where he was trying to get dry needling taken away because you can go and very limited education and go, whereas you have to go to school to become an acupuncturist. So.
Can we, this is a good segue in this conversation, is like the idea of what education requirements, credentials, certifications, trainings, et cetera, right? I mentioned earlier, almost all my clients are either MDs or DOs. I actually work with quite a few NPs as well, and PAs, which I don't know if you know what they go through, but I trust them just as much as I trust most of the doctors I see.
My primary care doctor is a PA and is the best doctor I have ever had in my entire life.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely.
Justin Sullivan, do you hear me? I love you.
I love that. Hey, Mrs. Sullivan. Yeah, I think that listen, we've come across a lot of these people over the years. And the problem is that, like, here's the thing. I am not a provider, I am not a clinician, and I don't have credentials. And also that if someone came to me and was like, "Hey," in fact, Mike does this all like just the other day was like, "I want to do this, this, and this. What do you think I should do?" And I was like, I can say a lot and
Right.
I'm educated around a lot, but I'm also not going to go on the internet and start charging people $500 an hour to like weigh in on this and that. In fact, you even said about you when you were telling me about Charlie, and I was like, if you sent me a list of, I have like questions that I ask people,
Right.
right? As your friend, as your friend, I am not a
You're like,
doctor, and
I'll
I'm not
send the invoice after.
exactly. So I think like this is part of what's happening on the internet. And I will say, I think a lot of my clients are super pissed about it because you can have someone who does not have credentials or education, who's a really good influencer and who starts by saying like, wow, my charcoal toothpaste changed my life, and somehow segues into all kinds of like, hey, buy this lab test from me, buy this, buy that.
Right.
And obviously like problematic for many reasons. And also, and just to play like a very very high level like devil's advocate here, I feel like I, I think that we put too much accountability on these people and not enough accountability on ourselves as users on the internet. And that's kind of something I feel pretty strongly about, because
Yeah.
if you think you're going to solve all your problems by trusting a stranger on the internet that you don't know, something is wrong and you should get off the internet. And I'll die on that hill.
Right.
And obviously, everyone should just be acting responsibly, absolutely. But here's the thing I'll say, because I have had calls and worked with people who are a health coach, a nutritionist. And I will say that some of those people are so passionate about what they do that I find them to be more educated than some of the people with more credentials who haven't specialized and done
Right.
additional trainings outside of whatever their degree was in. And so there's a trade off there where I think you can be really passionate about something, spend a lot of your own time dedicated to learning and absorbing and whatever, and be really helpful to people. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the internet too. It's like good and bad, where it's like you are allowed to do that. And people are allowed to decide if they want to follow you and trust you and engage
Right.
with you. And I will just take it a step further, that I think one of the reasons people get bashed is because they're like, well, you said that and then you tried to sell me a supplement. And I'm like, I don't think that's bad. I personally don't think that's bad, because again, no one held a gun to your head and said, go buy that supplement from them. You're autonomous for your own body and brain
Right.
and health and well being. If you choose to believe somebody who's not being honest, that's a different story. If you're on the internet being untruthful and saying you have this degree when you don't, that is very different. I just want to be clear, that is absolutely unacceptable. But if you are just speaking your truth and you're maybe giving more guidance or more recommendations beyond what someone thinks you should because of your credential, I
Right.
don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, some of the people that I trust the most aren't medical doctors, and they are just, their lifelong work has revolved around that thing that they do really well, and they've absolutely helped me. So I just think in the age of social media, we have very much gotten like very finger pointy, like they're saying this and they're doing this. And I'm like, where's your responsibility and accountability and how you are operating on the internet? And at the end of the day, it almost sounds to me like you don't take your health that seriously if it was just that easy for you to be influenced. And I think that's actually kind of the bigger problem here. So again, do I love Goop? No, I think Gwyneth Paltrow is insufferable.
Goop
And
mention.
listen, do I subscribe to Goop? Do I buy things from Goop? All of the above, no. And also, do I think that probably some of their content has helped educate some people around some things? Absolutely. Like you have to start somewhere too. So that's my spiel about kind of like everyone just hating everyone on the internet who's not an MD.
I kind of agree. I kind of don't agree on certain parts of this.
Tell
I
me.
think that like high trust individuals who sell things, it's very like I think about Alex Jones, right? Whose whole deal is selling bullshit
Yeah.
and like doing harm, but like really like people believe in it and it
Mm-hmm.
does harm. And I think like
Yeah.
this is a little bit where there's like fear and pain makes space for grifting.
Mm-hmm.
And you are preying on people and often low income, uneducated people because you can, and you are in a position of trust. And I am not saying that people who aren't doctors are inherently doing this, but I
Yeah.
think that is actually what, and you and I talked about this earlier this week, that this non-traditional space has a lot of like trust and a lot of
Yes.
like issues with it that are hard for people who maybe don't have access to resources and material and critical thinking to make decisions that you might hope that they would, right?
So you bring up something that's also very important here, and this is, I mean, this is super close to home to me because a very big piece of how we work with our clients revolves around trust and around values. And I think one thing that could be that we could all do better about is actually asking ourselves the question, does it appear, because we don't know people on the internet, but does it appear like this person aligns with my values and how I see things? Before we just say, well, I really like their outfits, or I really like the reels, and you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like we just are.
To make the decision.
Yes, exactly. Because one thing that we really stress to our clients is like, we have to build trust. And that don't you dare try to build trust by being inauthentic or by stretching or reaching or fear mongering. Again, very, very, very picky about who we will work with for that reason. But what are the values here? How do you show up authentically, be honest, admit when something has changed for you, which is actually something we also tap into quite a lot when we'll say, like, tell us something that you really believed to be true and science debunked it and you had to change some things, you know? And the people who can answer that, those are the people that you can trust.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you, right? And I think it goes back to, if someone is using that trust that they've established for the wrong reasons, I think that they were not truthful to begin with, and they were untrustworthy from the beginning. And I think, again, we have to do a better job of discerning what that means on the internet. We don't know these people. Even if you become a patient, you still don't know them on the level that you might think you know them. And that's the weirdness of the internet. So I completely agree with you. And I try to, now I'm very stingy with my follows, because I really try to stop and say, does this feel like something that's going to add value, whether it's health or anything else, a hobby? And when stuff comes up in my feed now, I'm very quick to unfollow and be like, no, I'm not interested. I do not want to see your Amazon haul. I don't care at all. The last resort is shopping on Amazon, and it just doesn't align with my values anymore. It did 5 years ago, absolutely, and now I've changed, and I can admit that, right? So I think we all have to do that a little bit better when it comes to the internet. I'd argue that we should do that in real life also. Like, I mean, okay, so your whole story that you told me earlier this week about the provider you saw in person, and you were showing me some of the things that were said and done, and I was like, my skin was crawling, because it felt a lot like fear mongering.
Yeah.
And I think this is exactly what you were saying. When you tap into someone's fear when they're already vulnerable because they are not well, that is not okay. That is not a high values person to me.
Right.
And instead of saying things like, listen, this may or may not happen. This is the chance of this happening. This could happen. And also, this is how we would work through that. Like, there are, I mean, a airplane could fall in my house right now, right? Like, I'm not going to go around making hooks on my Instagram reels talking about airplane could fall in my house right now. Like, I can't, we have to be realistic about like how we're making people feel about themselves. And yes, anyways, now I'm going off on a tangent, but I fully agree with you.
Well, I think in that case, right. So the thing that was mostly agitating and alarming going to this sort of like holistic doctor was she laughed at us on a number of occasions like we were big fucking dummies, and like that for me, red flag. Like,
I'm so mad just hearing that. I wish I could I'm angry.
How dare you?
Yeah.
And like,
agreed.
it may even be something that you like closely hold as a belief that receipt paper is going to kill me. But to laugh in my face like I'm a foolish idiot, like, and I think that is one of the things that if you aren't like a high intelligence, high sort of like discerning person, that you're like, man, I am stupid. Like, I don't know that, you know, and I'm like, I I also think there are scales in all of this. And to the credentialing point, right? This is a person who is a PA who now is into integrated medicine versus the world-class, world-renowned Mayo Clinic doctor that we see. You, PA, with some experience in integrated medicine, are not going to be making medication choices for us, and certainly not as like part of a partnership and team. So we're going to like balance these things. But it really was like, as I my face was loud in those moments because it was just like, are you really laughing at what a fool I am for the fact that I drink filtered tap water?
I think also, and I know you would agree with this, like I've met many conventional doctors who act like that too. I think it is a people thing. Like you are either this way or you're not. And like,
you feel power. There's some dynamic there.
Yes. I mean, the GI that I have, I mean, I don't go often, but like if I have to go and I go to him and he does my colonoscopies and stuff, like he's like literally 229 years old. And he's like, I've seen it all. And I'm like, he's always just so like nonchalant. And I'm like, I'm bleeding through my ass. Okay.
Like,
TMI.
Take your colon. You're like, okay, could we please have like maybe a little bit longer?
He's like, make sure your will is in order before this. And I'm like, and he's like laughing. And I'm like, okay. So I think that there is like for sure a complex there within like the healthcare system in general. I've met, I mean, my group of people are not the easiest.
And you're an idiot, right?
Absolutely. But what's so crazy to me about the like integrative space is that like, you have to know that people don't know everything you're knowing. Like you have to know that people couldn't know this.
Well,
and
what is your job?
I just, like, it really is infuriating. And I do want to, one thing I really want to make sure we do say and talk about on this episode, which also we might want to do a part 2 because I have 400 things I could still say about this, but like, I really want to emphasize to anybody listening, whether you are like a health nut or you're not at all, and you maybe want to start doing something, I cannot emphasize enough that whatever the fear-mongering person on Instagram puts on their reel about touching receipt paper is the absolute least of your worries, okay? What I cannot emphasize enough is that you approaching your health and wellness in a holistic way doesn't actually mean that you think about every single thing that you're eating, touching, drinking, wearing, saying, sleeping. You're going to lose your mind and you're going to actually be more unhealthy. But the best thing you can do, because it's actually so simple, is think about eating real food, because if it came in a box or a bag, it is in fact not real food. I don't care how much of it. Overeat if you want to, but just make sure it's real. Don't think about the allergens and don't think about this and that, but just stick to real food. Try that out for 10 days. Tell me how you feel. The second thing is think about the stuff that you actually do use every single day. Soap, shampoo, toothpaste. Yes, water is important. Are you going to die from drinking filtered water? That's insane. Okay. That's literally insane.
Endocrine disruptors are real in your body washes.
Yes, exactly. And like that in itself will put you light years ahead of most people. And and it's a little bit easier when you think about the sustainability conversation we have, right? Like if I go through and swap out most of the things that are touching our skin and going through our barriers and in my head and all of these things, if I can swap all those things out and they're going to last me the next couple months, like that's something I don't have to think about. And then I find brands or products that maybe I like and feel good and I know are cleaner. I can kind of just stick with that. I don't have to change it up every other quarter either, right? And with the food thing, I used to be way, way, way less tough love about this. And I am way, way, way more tough love about this. Stop eating like a 12-year-old. You're not. And I don't know how else to say that. You need to eat food that nourishes an adult body. And you don't have to eat liver every day if you don't want to eat liver every day. But there are a billion ways to eat clean food that is really tasty still. And if you don't start there and you don't start removing processed foods, which are absolutely killing us, I would argue that that is the worst thing happening to us as human beings, then I think you have you have to start there, or you're not going to go past the next thing. Like, you're not going to get past the next level of health. So
I think we should do a part 2.
I agree.
Because we definitely have more to say. And I have some things that I want to talk about next time, which is some of the crazy crunchy certifications that I have. Speaking of using certifications, but in terms of the waste stuff, you just had your rant. You know what my rant is? If you purchase clothes from a store and you do not wash them before putting them on your body, go to a factory. I want you to understand how horrifyingly filthy a factory environment is.
Yep.
If you have never been inside of a factory, you do not understand.
Yeah.
You do not want that shit on your skin. And I know you just got your Temu crop top and you want to wear it to the bar tonight. No, do not do it. I don't care I don't care if it is Chanel. I don't care if it's Temu. Wash that shit before you put it on your body. Okay. Are you reading a different book than you were last week, or are you still reading the same book?
Almost. It's so long, dude, but I am
can't
almost
wait to
done.
read it.
It's
okay.
I you know what? I'm going to plug it one more time.
Plug it one more time, girl.
A Fine Balance, Rohinton Mystery. It is so wonderfully, incredibly, amazingly written. It's
beautiful.
I know these characters like they are my friends. It is a true novel with quality writing. It is not a trendy, popular, whatever. Although I have seen it come up a few more times now on like some of my book accounts, which makes me very happy. Highly recommend it. A Fine Balance. I have maybe just less than 100 pages left, which it's a almost 700 page book. So it's been a while. So what about you?
I am still reading Court of Thorn and Roses, not the first one. I'm on the last one, but I don't think I talked about before this. I read The Correspondent.
Oh my gosh, I heard this was so good.
Oh my gosh, it is so good. And it is about an aging woman and all the letters that she wrote and the relationship that is complex with her family and aging. And she is like a badass who was an attorney, like in the maybe not an attorney's assistant. Mm-hmm. So she talks about like gender and power and all through these beautiful letters that she writes with her friends. She has like a young friend who grows up alongside so it is a lovely, lovely book. I cannot recommend it enough. So.
It's also, I've seen it a lot, like on like book recommendations and stuff like that. It's come up quite a lot. It's on my list. So.
All right, folks, stay tuned for part 2. We're going to talk more about integrated health and nutrition and wellness and woo-woo witch doctor stuff. Follow, subscribe, share with your mom, share with your physician's assistant, share with everybody who would benefit
your
from
acupuncturist.
Share with your acupuncturist, your cupping specialist if you're afraid of needles. I'm gonna get you an acupuncture gift certificate. We're gonna do it together. We'll give you a Valium. We'll give you 1 Valium and 1 gift certificate.
I'll take a joint.
Okay, all right, fine. A natural joint. All right, friends. See you on the internet.
See ya.
Talk to you later.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Better with Daffnee and Torri.
Be sure to hit 5 stars and leave us a review. Share the link with a friend on social media or through text.
New episodes drop every week, so subscribe today.